Wow, perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I am not Reverend Carol. I am Reverend Scott Murchison. I'm filling in for her today, as I don't know if you've been following her on Facebook, but the pictures are starting to come in now, so they're having fun over there across the pond. And we send them our love and well wishes while they're there during this pilgrimage. We have some members of our membership team on either side of the room here, and if you are, and we're not going to embarrass you or call you out, but if you're here for the first time, there's a blue card in these packets, and if you just fill that out with some information, it'll put you on our mailing list, and we won't inundate you. You'll get 2 emails a week, one a wrap up and one a what's to come for the week, for the Sunday ahead. If you're here with us for the first time and you fill that out and you give it back to us, you'll actually get a free book from the bookstore called How to Speak Science of Mind, if you're wondering what this thing is that you actually stepped into today. Do we have any first-time visitors or guests or somebody who hadn't been with us for a long time? You have one way in the back and one in the front right here. Perfect. Well, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Thank you. And you know what? So everybody, we didn't get a chance to do that earlier this morning. Everybody, greet your neighbors. Turn around and say hello to your neighbors. So this year, we are, as a movement, Centers for Spiritual Living, reviewing values, the core values of who we are as a movement, and just who we are as individuals, each and every one of us on planet Earth. We are talking about those core values, and if you've come here with us each week, you get to hear 3 values. And so I'm going to talk about some things today around those values, and our theme for the month is creativity. And so if you are seeing a joy in a change of those words from Three Dog Night, they are, I loved them growing up, so awesome, thank you for that. And all the colors here, I have to acknowledge Gaelen and Mark Cooper for this wonderful altar this morning. I described to them what my talk was about this morning, and if you can't guess, politics. But my talk today, the title for the talk today is, okay, we'll do the values first. The first is, that I'm going to talk about, is dialogue. Really learning how to communicate with each other in the days and times we live. And then respect. Actually stopping to take the time to listen to the other person and think about and hear what they're saying to you with a different set of ears and a different heart and a different experience. And then the third is humor. So if you haven't gotten it, let's make a joke of it. We're all potato heads, aren't we? And I love it. So, so I described it, we're about colors and boxes and labels, and of course we get blueberries and strawberries. I didn't even think about that. That's perfect. So after the service, they've actually been cleaned by me. So come on up and grab some. Eat the altar after the service, please. So the talk title today is, Are We Having Fun Yet? What? Are we having fun yet? And, boy, what a week. If you have, been anywhere near a radio or a television set or talked to a neighbor or a friend or anybody, you've gotten an earful over the last 10 days, 2 weeks. And, it's funny that Spirit spoke to me 3 weeks ago with this message about this talk today. And I'm like, well, talking politics is controversial. Now, I'm not going to talk about issues and policies. That's not what this is about. It's about opinions. And I want to talk about opinions because, so how many of you here voted for prom queen? Prom queen. Prom king. Yeah. How many of you are on the board of your condo association, or you have to take a vote, or how many of you are members here in this community and you've come here for an annual meeting and taken a vote? Right. We're always choosing. We're always asked to choose something. And so I want to talk about that. And so as we're exploring this theme, I'm going to use myself as an example here and talk about me. So I'm going to come out of the closet a little bit today. Not the one you think of, not the one you're thinking of, but another one. By way of explaining who I am today and how I got to be who I am today. So I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I don't know if you could tell. I know I have that funny accent. And when I was 6 years old, Martin Luther King was shot dead 20 miles from my house. And I didn't hear a word about it at all at 6 years old. Because I lived in a world and in an environment. And so here I'm going to come out with everybody. Everybody around me, my family, the friends, everybody in my life were Republican. And so I didn't hear anything about Martin Luther King. I didn't hear anything about civil rights, although I lived in the cradle of the civil rights movement at the time of it happening. Ground zero for the civil rights movement. And I didn't hear anything about it as a child. But there was a code that was kind of underlying and underpinning everything. And it was all about race and all about connecting or disconnecting from other, from them, from those people, from that idea. And so I went to a religious school because my mother was a city school teacher in Memphis for 25 years. She actually helped start the Gifted program in Memphis. And so she was a pioneer in leading the Gifted movement for the children who are bored and they're smart. And they need some extra encouragement and some extra tools to help them and encourage them and support them in their growth and development. But my father was dead set against that. He was not having me go to a public school. And so I went to a private school for 12 years or 11 years. And so I was very insulated and isolated from the opinions of the other. I didn't really hear a lot about them. And I didn't really hear a lot about it. And then, so all of you know that, because I've spoken about it, that I did have this revelation. I spoke about it last month when I talked about change into transformation, as the discovery that, I actually have an attraction to members of the same sex. So I'm gay. But my whole family, and I was watching the 70s last night on CNN about the Nixon impeachment. I remember that. I remember it because my family were Republicans, and I remember the day that John Dean went and testified, and he said, Richard Nixon did it. And I jumped off the bed, and I almost broke my leg jumping down to try and tell my grandmother that he did it. Nixon did it. And so my family had this this relationship with a party and an idea and a philosophy. But I was in the midst of my ideas and my philosophy shifting. Because I started when I was 18, it was right after the Reagan election in 1980. So right after he was elected, I was old enough to vote, and so I didn't get to vote in that election, but I did in the next one. So I started listening to the people in my party. I started listening to the people that I had grown up talking to and listening to and agreeing with, and I began to feel like there was a disconnection because they were talking about me as if I was the other. I wasn't part of them. Now, I'm not going to talk about whether red or blue or Republican or Democrat is right or wrong, good or bad. That is immaterial to me. But I personally had a shift and a transformation inside of my own life that I began to listen to and hear things in a different way. I began to form my own ideas about my life and about the lives of everyone around me and everything I saw and heard and didn't hear. And if you're from the South, and I'm just going to be open about it, there is an unspoken code in the South. And I was trained in that. It was a subliminal message that was delivered to me without ever being spoken to me, except at home when my father was extremely racist. So I got to hear that all the time. And boy, I got to hear what he thought about the gays too. But he didn't know at that time. I hadn't come out until after I graduated from high school. And so I had a transformation of my ideas and my opinions about life and how it works around me. But yet I still go back there to my family and my friends in Tennessee. I spent almost all of last year in Tennessee. And I came out as a Rachel Maddow, MSNBC Democrat at my father's funeral because it was appropriate to say because he was a Bill O'Reilly, Fox News Republican, and we argued about everything, political and philosophical, but we loved each other. And there's something that we had to transcend our own opinions and our own ideas about life. We had to transcend that to get along with each other because he was my father and I was his only child, the only child. And so that created a dynamic for 40 years that was extremely interesting. And it gave me a perspective on life. Now, so I'm just going to come out of the closet. Yes, I'm a Democrat. Surprise. But I'm not your typical normal Democrat. I'm a blue dog. They're kind of known that way in the South as more conservative. I'm a conservative Democrat. I actually can find common ground with Republicans because I have to every time I go have dinner with them. And I find that I have to find common ground with the people I love most in my life, who for the first 20 years of my life didn't even know who I was. My aunt was trying to fix me up with girls, and I kept putting her off and making excuses. And my uncle and I just never even spoke. And so I didn't really have a connection with my extended family other than at, holiday functions and gatherings. But I found a particular bond with my aunt this last year over caring for my mother. So many of you know that my mother went through cancer and has since made her transition. But I was going through ministerial school. I owned a business. And my life was crazy last year. And so I'd have to come here 2 weeks every month. So I was here for 2 weeks every month. Then 2 weeks I was back in Tennessee. So for the 2 weeks that I was here, my aunt was my mother's main caregiver. And the 2 weeks that I was there, I was the main caregiver. So we were giving each other a 2-week break every now and then. And once she needed to just get away, and so I went early and we shifted it, and I went and gave her a holiday, gave her a vacation for another week. But we bonded over that in a way that I've never bonded with my aunt in 50 plus years of my life. And so recently, so just as I was coming up with my the idea for my talk and what I wanted to say, I got this text from her. So we text, we either talk or text every week to a week and a half. She just texted me again yesterday. We just kind of touch base with each other. And she was really excited to tell me about a nephew of hers who is an underwear model, and she's really excited and really proud of him. And so what are y'all laughing at? You know, I don't like the string on the underwear, but, you know. What are you all looking at? It's an underwear model. What are you talking about? Come on. This is what she sent me. Now so he's I guess a cousin by marriage to me. And he's gay. And so my aunt and I have begun bonding in a deeper way than politics. Now, when I went back home for this last Christmas, because I know I'm in a sea of red, and I'm very single blue in a sea of red when I go back to Tennessee, I was not really looking too forward to it. But they're my family, and because of the bond that I had made with my aunt and uncle during this process of my mother's transition, they wanted me to come stay with them. So I did, and it was humorous to watch because my uncle is an avid Fox News watcher. He watches the TV. That TV is on Fox News all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as you can guess, I'm not a Fox News person, which is odd since I actually used to work for Fox. I actually worked at Fox when Fox News was launched. And so I have a background with Fox News and a history with them. And so it's interesting. But so my uncle was in the living room watching Fox News all day. And I'm like, okay, I can't do that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give you all a Christmas present. I'm going to buy you a TV. And I'm going to put it back there in the guest bedroom. And so while he was in there watching Fox News, I was back in the back watching MSNBC or movies, because I'm not all about politics. And it was funny watching the dynamics in my family. My aunt was all day running back and forth down the hall between my uncle and me to hang out with both of us who have opposing political views. And so, so clearly she's the moderate in the group, running back and forth between us because it's like she didn't care about the politics. In fact, she's tired of hearing it because she hears it all the time. And she wanted to hear something different, so she liked having me there to hang out and talk about other things than politics with her. And so that's a dynamic that goes on in my life every day. Now, that's my story. And it formed the opinions that I have about life today. Now, I'm not saying my opinions are the opinion, but what's your story? You formed your ideas about who you are, what you think about life, and how to advance policy, how to move the public forward, how to advance public policy, based on all your experiences, all of them. Here's the thing about it, though. I am a unique, individualized expression of God. No one on planet Earth has lived every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every year in my shoes, so none of you have my opinions. None of you. You have your own. Whatever they are, and I'm not here to, and please don't line up afterwards and tell me what your political philosophies are, because I know half the room is Republican and half's Democrat, and some of you voted for greens and blues and whatever you voted for, whatever independent color is today. Whatever it is, we all have our beliefs based on our life's experience. Now that's what makes you unique, individualized expressions of God. So here's the thing, it's like, so with this last 10 days, with everybody shouting at each other about politics and about what's right and wrong, I'm not here to proselytize or sway anybody. But over the last 10 days, since I have been preparing for this talk, I've been listening with the ears of the other. I've been watching my own network, listening through Republican ears, because my whole family is Republican, so I know what they think. I know what they're looking for. They're very excited. They're very excited about Trump. They're very excited about the country, where we're going now, where we're headed. They're very happy. And I'm grateful for them. Whether I agree with their opinions about politics or not, I love them. They're my family. They are my connection to planet Earth. And whether I believe in a certain political philosophy or persuasion or way of thinking, that is immaterial. And it has formed how I think, what I believe about life, my experience. That's very interesting because I'm a Southerner, so I'm a little bit more kind of conservative. But I'm too liberal for my family in Tennessee. But here's the rub. I'm too conservative for my friends in San Francisco. So I automatically always float on the edge of both worlds, or all the worlds of political thought and opinion. And you know what? I can have a discussion and a dialogue with anyone, whether I agree with them or not. And so it hit me that because the theme for the month is creativity, and if we are having this discord, this dis-ease, this disconnection in our public dialogue and our public discourse, it really hit me that now I think is the time, well, Spirit said, this is the time for this message. And it really is that we are more than this. Now, if you walked into this door today, you either maybe believe or you think you believe that there is only one God, that there is only one thing ever going on. Now, what does that mean? It sounds very good when we're talking about our friends. Yeah, they agree. Yeah, I agree with them. I connect with them at a different level. I connect with this politician. I connect with this leader, this manager, this whoever they are. I connect with them at a deeper level. But when you mention the other, everybody goes dour. Their faces scowl. They get upset. They stop talking to you in some cases. They argue with you. And I want to put it out there that I think that the level of the rancor and the discord in our politics today is worldwide, very clearly, worldwide. There is discord and dis-ease going on worldwide. Because we're all shouting at each other. We're all shouting our opinions at each other. And guess what? I think mine is right and yours is wrong. Right? That's how we all operate in the world. But I'm here to tell you, you know what? Your opinion is right. whoever you voted for or didn't vote for, your opinion is right. Because it is based on the experience that you had living your life from the time you were a thinking toddler to this very moment. No one else on planet Earth has walked in your shoes, even if you're a twin. No one has walked second by second in your shoes. So no one has the same opinion on everything as you. Now that's pretty bold to think about, that we're all shouting at each other over being right when everybody's right. But if we can look deeper than the surface, we're going to have to transform our thinking and transform this planet by being creative. There is a creative process, and that's what I want to talk about. Thoughts are things. And if you're upset at government, at politics, at Washington, D.C., at the president, or if you're upset about Congress and what they're doing, if you're upset about the city council here in Corte, Madera, whatever it is, you're putting that energy out into the law. So I want us to think about this thing called the creative process in a different way. Maybe try something different. Let's maybe think about listening before speaking. Now, let me tell you, if any of you who know me personally know I am very opinionated, and I will clip you off before you even finish your last sentence. I mean, you just know that's just who I am. And to my shame, I found a quote from Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, who says, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. And so I've had to, over the last 2 weeks, step back from my aggressive, moderate, liberal, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to give it, whatever color you want to give it. I've had to step back from that and listen before speaking. Now, believe me, I have shouted a lot at my television set over the last 2 weeks. But this is a lesson to me to listen before speaking. And it really means listen to the other person that I am talking to. And then there is hearing with the heart and the ears of God. Now, what does that mean? That means softening my heart enough to listen to an opinion that with every fiber of my being, I oppose. That's hard to do. But I've been practicing doing it for the last 2 weeks in the midst of all that's been going on. But really listening with that heart of God. And Ernest Holmes in Discover a Richer Life writes, life is not just something to be endured. It is to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. We must get rid of old, morbid theological concepts. I place no value on anything unless it brings gladness, love, friendship, the ability to laugh, and makes me feel that every person I meet, if I knew him, I would love him. He is as good as I am, having the same heart pattern, the same kind of bloodstream, the same divinity. So Ernest Holmes is reminding us that There is a God within each and every one of us, whether I agree with you or not. Whether I think your opinions are correct or not. Because here's the thing, your opinions are correct for you. They work for you. And I'm not here to change anybody's opinions about anything. Your political beliefs and opinions are yours based on your own experiences. And then there is the one we could all use these days. Have a sense of humor in the midst of all of this. Don't take it all so seriously. Laugh. You're not going to be able to listen to those whose opinions are diametrically opposed to yours until you can soften your heart. And I recommend that you soften your heart through laughter. Having fun. Having a good time in your own world and in your own experience. The motivational speaker Chris Michaels, in his book, Your Soul's Assignment, writes, without love, life has no meaning. And without laughter, there's just no reason to be alive. Your spirit needs love and joy as much as your body needs food and water. In order to fulfill our spiritual needs, we have to keep finding new people to love and more reasons to laugh than to cry. Life is a series of roller coaster events that lift us up just to drop us back down. It's not the ride that's harmful. It's when we take it too seriously that it becomes dangerous. Now, whatever your beliefs and opinions are about what's happening with our president and with Congress and with the government right now, I'm not here to debate that with you. I'm not interested in it. I'm assuming that half of this room, again, is Republican. And half is Democrat or some variation in the spectrum from red to blue, somewhere in between. Which is why I love the strawberries and the blueberries. Thank you. You're somewhere in between. But if you can't learn to laugh at it, find some humor in it, in yourself, in your politician that you believe and you follow, then we're going the wrong direction. Now, I want to posit to you a new way of creating. Now, here's a new thought, a new idea. Because all thoughts are creative, instead of arguing and shouting at each other without even listening to each other, without even connecting with each other at a deeper heart level, and thus putting that energetic out into the law, what if we tried something new? What if we tried listening to each other? What if we tried laughing with each other, loving each other, listening to each other, talking to each other, those that we disagree with, as well as those we agree with? Can you imagine what a different world it would be if you looked in another's eyes whose opinions and ideas and beliefs and philosophy were diametrically opposed to yours? If you could look them in the eye and say internally to yourself, or say to them in their face, I love you whether I agree with you or not. I love you whether I agree with you or not. Because at its heart and at its core, Ernest Holmes has said it, so many teachers and philosophers in this movement have taught us, all there is God, so that means that I am God. You are God right where you are. Trump is God. Hillary's God. Congress is God. Corte Madera's city council is God. Everywhere around you, everyone you agree with and those you disagree with are God expressing. Now, if you could look at everyone you talked to, everyone you interacted with on a daily basis, with that concept, coming from that consciousness, coming from that place, can you imagine what a shift would take place? Not just within yourself, but within your relations with the other, them, whoever them is. So, I want to put it out there to you that if you're going to come up and complain to me about something about politics, don't do that. Take me to lunch. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. We solve everything with food. Every time there's an intervention or whatever it is, if we need to discuss something, there's a plate of food around. Take someone that you don't know in this community out for lunch. Every Sunday, I actually leave myself open that when we don't have meetings and all of that after the services, but I'm here waiting each week for somebody to ask me to lunch. And I ask other people to lunch. And I get to know people. I didn't even know. I went through ministerial school with Reverend Catherine. I didn't know she was from New Orleans. 3 hours down the road from where I'm from. And that's where she is this weekend at her high school reunion. Didn't even know that until we went out for lunch together and started talking about our pasts. And we found a connection. We found common ground, a place where we could connect at a deeper level than just politics and just the surface. And I want to just put that out to you because June 4th, after the service, I'm over the events team now, and Suzanne Dubois, she's not here today, but Suzanne Dubois and I, we're going to throw a party. If you're interested in having a party here, involving yourself in a different way of having fun rather than taking classes and doing all this hard consciousness work. And you want to have fun with us, come to the party afterwards to be a volunteer to help us with events. And we are going to be looking at putting a program together to partner with a nonprofit, whether it's quarterly, monthly, yearly, whatever it is. That team is going to be coming up with that idea and the program for us to partner with a nonprofit. And some of them are other to this community. And so we're getting the ground wet. The practitioners all went through an inclusivity and diversity training, which was actually much better than I was expecting it to be. Because believe me, I've been through the diversity thing. I was born and raised in it. And so I know what it looks like and I know what it doesn't look like. And so I went in with some pretty hard opinions about it. But I was also open-hearted enough to listen. And I did shift some of my thinking. And a shift in thinking is not going to happen until we're soft and open enough to listen to each other. Listen to each other with that heart of God. And know in our heart of hearts, in our core of our being, that we are each God expressing. Whether I agree with your political opinions or beliefs or not is immaterial. You are still a unique, individualized expression of the divine. And it's incumbent upon each one of us, if we want to shift the energy of this planet from discord to peace, from division to love, it begins with a change in our conversations. I'm not asking any of you to change parties or change beliefs or change opinions. Because as I said, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you about who's right. You're right, and I'm right. So what's the common ground in the middle? And if we can't get there through listening and through an open heart, because our opinions are what our opinions are, then let's laugh. Let's find that place to laugh. Ernest Holmes in Living Without Fear writes, all evolution is an awakening and a development of a greater possibility, resulting in an unfoldment of the inherent potential. Since man lives in his consciousness, it follows that a change of consciousness will produce a change in outward manifestation. Hence, we arrive at the idea that man lives in and by his beliefs and opinions, and that could he change these beliefs and opinions, there would be an outward manifestation corresponding to the inner change. Now, he's saying your opinions will shift and change as your heart softens, and yes, they will. I can tell you, after the last 10 days, I've softened my heart. I've listened as I was shouting to the TV where it couldn't hear me back and couldn't speak back. I was listening. And I did shift. I did shift just a little bit. And that's all Spirit's asking for from any of us. To soften our hearts for just an inch. Just a millimeter even. If you can shift your consciousness and open your heart to listen to someone whose opinions and beliefs you are diametrically opposed to yours, the two of you can find common ground somewhere. And if you can't, laugh. So we need to get to a time and a place where we can each say to ourselves and to our friends and our neighbors, I love you whether I agree with you or not. Say it with me. I love you whether I agree with you or not. I love you whether I agree with you or not. Now I want to invite each one of you right here now within the sound of my voice to just go within just an instant and think about the funniest experience you've ever had in your own personal life. And just laugh about it right now. Just laugh. Now take me out to lunch and ask me what I laughed about. It's the funniest thing you've ever heard in your life. That's the way we can connect. If we can't connect anywhere else, we can connect through humor. We can connect with our laughter. And did any of you feel a shift when you laughed? Your heart softened. Your heart softened as you laughed. So the question then is, are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? So the values, dialogue, respect, and humor. I want to invite our practitioners to surround the room. As we just turn within, knowing that there is only one thing ever going on. The life, the energy of God, expressing in and through and as each one of us, right where we are, right here, right now. And so I am putting out a new idea into consciousness, into the divine law, that we are all love. We are all good. We are all God expressing just as we are. And I am declaring a softening of hearts and minds right here in this moment that begins in this room and branches out. It ripples out exponentially just from our thoughts and our words right here, right now, into the consciousness of this country, of this world, of this universe. And there's a shift taking place right here and right now. That we are seeing God in the face of the other. That we are seeing God in the face of ourselves. And we are softening our hearts and shifting consciousness to finding that connection, that connectivity, the God presence within each one of us. And so I'm declaring a shift happening. And I just give thanks for this now. Knowing that God is right where we are. Saying yes, yes, yes. To this new creative idea. So I bless this word, giving it to God, knowing it is done whole and complete. And so it is. Please be seated.